A lawyer has stated that the Klang crash case will not be over if the murder charge fails. Meanwhile, an opposition leader has called on the government to convene a parliament sitting to discuss the energy crisis. Stay tuned for this and more on KiniNews. A lawyer has defended the Attorney General's Chamber's decision to file a murder charge in the Klang crash case, saying the case does not necessarily end, even if the murder charge fails.
Lawyer Haniff Khatri Abdulla said the Attorney General's Chamber's decision to charge a driver with murder does not necessarily mean the accused will be acquitted if intent cannot be proven. He explained that even if the prosecution fails to establish a case under Section 300 of the Penal Code, the law allows for the charge to be amended at the close of the prosecution's case. According to Haniff, the court may, either on application by any party or on its own initiative, substitute the charge with one that is more appropriate. For instance, he said a judge might find that the prosecution has not proven a murder offense under Section 302 of the Penal Code, but that there is a prima facie case under Section 44 of the Road Transport Act. In such a situation, the accused would then be required to enter a defense against the revised charge. Haniff told Mishikini that the AGC may believe it has strong evidence, particularly based on how long the accused was driving on the wrong side of the road. While noting that he often disagrees with Attorney General Dusuki Mukhtar on various matters, Haniff said that in this instance, the decision made was the right one. Haniff was commenting on the AGC's decision to charge R Saktygaanapathy with murder over the death of warehouse worker and delivery rider Amirul Hafiz Omar in a crash on Sunday. Questions have been raised due to the perceived difficulty in proving a murder charge, which requires the prosecution to prove either intent or that the accused knew their actions could cause death.
The Environment Department Director General claimed trial to a graft charge in relation to a project in Penang this morning. Here's more on that.
The Environment Department DOE Director General Wan Latiff Jaffar was charged this morning at the Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court with receiving a 100,000 ringgit bribe last year in relation to an infrastructure project in Penang. According to the charge sheet, Wan Latiff was accused of accepting the bribe in his official capacity to consider an appeal by a company which sought an exemption from preparing an EIA report in their planning permission application. An environmental impact assessment report is a mandatory document required for development projects with significant environmental impacts needing DOE's approval before work begins. Wan Latif pleaded not guilty to the charge before Judge Suzana Hussain. The court then ordered him to pay 40,000 ringgit bail with one surety, with the additional condition that he surrender his passport to the court and set May 7 for mention. Meanwhile, in a separate court, DOE Deputy Director General for Operations Nur Hazni Matsari claimed trial before Judge Azura Alwi on charges of receiving 21,000 ringgit from Wan Tan Seong Hee for her daughter between 2022 and 2024. Nur Hazni was alleged to have received the funds without consideration from Tang, who is the E-Concern Borneo Sendirian Berhad's director and is tied to her official duties. The court set bail at 25,000 ringgit with one surety and confiscated her passport until the case is resolved, with mention fixed for May 19th.
Yesterday, MACC Chief Commissioner Azam Baki had said that the DOE's Director General and Deputy Director General were expected to be charged today, following investigations into e-waste management. However, a lawyer said that there was no mention of the matter in Wan Latiff and Nur Hazni's charges today.
But today, the charge has got nothing to do with e-waste. So that's why we are a bit surprised that entire press statement only on e-waste. Nothing whatsoever. Today the charge is on something else altogether. And when our client was remanded for purposes of investigation, nothing was brought up about e-waste.
Nothing about containers.
Nothing about containers, bringing hazardous item into the country. So my client...
What was the main thing that was brought up?
Today it's got nothing to do with e-waste. It's some payment that went into the daughter's account. 6 charges.
From now on, you can also listen to KiniNews on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Scan the QR code on the screen to follow us.
An Amina leader has hit out at the opposition over their planned PNMB convoy. This was what Mahfuz Omar had to say about the matter.
Amina Vice President Mahfuz Omar has criticized Perikatan Nasional over its planned large-scale convoy involving 4 Menteri Besar on April 4th. In a Facebook post, he described the initiative as immature, insensitive, and irresponsible, particularly in light of the global energy crisis. Mahfuz said the program runs counter to Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's call for prudent energy use, arguing that organizing a fuel-intensive convoy reflects poor judgment and a lack of awareness of current global realities. He stressed that the issue goes beyond political differences, noting that every kilometer traveled in a convoy represents public funds being wasted as the fuel consumed is subsidized by taxpayers. According to him, the convoy demonstrates a failure to grasp the seriousness of the global crisis and a lack of regard for the hardships faced by the people. Mahfuz was responding to the Convoy Bersama MBPN program scheduled to take place in Kuala Lumpur, Terengganu as part of the 5th International Ummah Unity Gathering and the 2026 Malay World Assembly.
Meanwhile, Opposition Chief Hamzah Zainuddin has called on the government to convene an emergency Dewan Rakyat sitting to discuss the energy crisis.
Opposition Chief Hamzah Zainuddin reiterates his call for Putrajaya to convene an emergency Dewan Rakyat sitting and table a national contingency plan to address problems caused by the fuel price hike following the conflict in the Middle East. He also suggested the government widen the coverage of its Budi Diesel Aid Scheme for individuals and Budi Diesel Agri Commodity for farmers. This is so that financial assistance can reach more people who are affected by the global crisis. Hamzah cited his recent meeting with paddy farmers in Perak and said that farmers have been badly affected by the hike in diesel prices as they depend on machinery that runs on fuel.
Maknanya mereka memerlukan bantuan daripada kerajaan. Yang ini yang saya bangkit ceritakan. Kerana food security, kalau mereka dah tak tanam, kalau rakyat pesawah-pesawah dah tidak menanam padi, apa akan jadi dengan negara kita? Jawapannya mudah, kita kena import. Kalau import, harganya mungkin lebih tinggi daripada apa yang pesawah maklumkan kepada saya. Jadi maknanya bantuan yang akan kita berikan atau subsidi yang akan kita berikan bila kita import beras nanti, dianya mungkin lebih tinggi daripada apa yang ada hari ini. Sebab tu saya minta bentangkan segera pelan kontingensi nasional. Kita panggil segera sidang khas parlimen supaya kita semua, kerajaan dan pembangkang, dapat bersama mencari jalan demi kebaikan rakyat dan negara. Bukan kita mencari kesalahan sesiapa, tidak. Tetapi nak mencadangkan ini supaya banyak lagi perkara yang boleh kita berikan.
If you like the stories we produce, consider supporting us by subscribing to Malaysia Kini. Click the link in the description below or scan the QR code on your screen to subscribe.
Federal civil servants with a one-way commute exceeding 8 kilometers will be able to work from home. This is according to a circular by the Public Service Department.
The government is rolling out work from home for some federal civil servants. Federal civil servants stationed in Kuala Lumpur, Putrajaya, Selangor and all state capitals with a one-way commute exceeding 8 km are eligible to work from home from April 15th. This is as part of the measures to cushion the impact of the global energy crisis arising from the West Asia conflict. According to Bernama, the matter was stated in a circular signed by Public Service Director General Wan Ahmad Dahlan Abdul Aziz. The circular stated that several sectors are exempted, including security and defense services such as the Malaysian Armed Forces, the Police, the Fire and Rescue Department, the Prisons Department, the Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency, the Border Control and Protection Agency, as well as the Immigration Department. Healthcare workers and education officers involved in schooling sessions are also exempted. For other eligible sectors, heads of department are responsible for determining essential services and arranging work from home schedules based on operational requirements. The designated workplace will be the employee's registered home address in the Human Resource Management Information System. The circular has also been extended to all state public services, statutory bodies and local authorities for implementation in line with the government directives.
Johor PKR leaders have joined those criticizing Rafi Ramli. They advised him to use the appropriate channels to convey his views.
Johor PKR has joined growing criticism of former party Deputy President Rafi over his public remarks questioning the leadership of Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. In a statement, Johor PKR Chairperson Dr. Zaliha Mustafa and her Deputy Mat Yahsaruddin Kusni said the Pandan MP's comments could affect internal party harmony and the morale of its members. They advised Rafi to convey his views through appropriate channels to avoid the issues being exploited by other parties to attack PKR. They added that the Johor PKR leadership believes the matter is no longer simply about speaking out, but could be perceived as actions that undermine party stability. As such, they stress that a more measured and prudent approach is necessary.
And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTv.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, X, YouTube, and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'm John. Thanks for watching.